Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tracing exactly how the products you love get from the factory floor right into your hands. We're going to decode the complex world of internal trade, basically breaking down the massive and visible machinery that makes our modern consumer lives possible. You know, it's so easy to take for granted that our favorite snacks or gadgets are just sitting there waiting for us on store shelves. But the journey they take to get there is absolutely fascinating. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll be covering what internal trade actually is, the power of wholesalers, the world of retail, the GST revolution, and finally, the role of chambers of commerce. Let's get right into it. Before we look at the mechanics, ask yourself this crucial question. What if there were literally no markets? How would products actually reach us? Without this system, you'd be traveling to hundreds of different factories across the country just to buy your weekly groceries. Think about the massive gears turning behind the scenes of our daily lives to prevent that exact nightmare from happening.
All right, Section 1, what is internal trade? Let's lay the foundation.
Well, it all comes down to geography. Internal trade keeps things strictly within a country's borders. Whether you're buying from a neighborhood corner shop, a massive mall, or a door-to-door salesperson, it's all internal trade. And the best part? It is completely free from custom or import duties because the goods are domestic production meant for domestic consumption. This is distinctly different from external trade, which crosses international borders and brings a whole different set of headaches and taxes into play. So moving on to Section 2, let's meet the heavy lifters of this domestic supply chain, the wholesalers. Wholesalers are the essential middle link, and their entire game is volume. They buy in massive bulk orders directly from producers. Why is this so crucial? Because it means a manufacturer who's producing millions of bars of soap doesn't have to track down millions of individual buyers. The wholesaler just takes that massive quantity off their hands, acting as a huge buffer. And this brilliantly illustrates their true value. They aren't just moving boxes around, they're acting as a massive shield. By pulling small orders from various retailers, they enable factories to produce at a super efficient scale. And more importantly, they absorb incredible risks. If prices fall or goods get stolen or spoiled in a warehouse, the wholesaler takes the hit, not the manufacturer. Plus, they generally pay cash up front. That's a financial lifeline that allows factories to keep their production lines moving without a hitch. Let's move down the chain to Section 3, the world of retail, where the goods finally get a lot closer to you and me. Retailers are the final link here. They buy smaller, manageable lots from the wholesalers. Now, this is a really important distinction because it means the local shop owner avoids the massive storage risks and the heavy financial burdens that the wholesaler carries. Instead, the retailer gets to focus entirely on breaking those lots down and selling them directly to us, the ultimate consumers, in exactly the quantities we need for our day-to-day lives. But it doesn't stop at just handing over the product, right? Retailers provide crucial after-sales services. Whether it's home delivery, tracking down a random spare part, or just offering direct face-to-face customer support, these services are absolutely vital. In fact, this personal touch and convenience are usually the main reasons we develop loyalty and return to the exact same shops time and time again. But hey, retail isn't just limited to physical storefronts with human cashiers anymore. Automated solutions are completely changing the game. Think about vending machines. They're essentially silent retailers working 24/7. And even more impactful, think about ATMs. They totally revolutionized banking, allowing us to access cash on demand without ever stepping foot inside a branch. That is a truly powerful form of automated retail. Okay, on to Section 4. What governs the pricing across this entire complex journey? Let's decode the GST framework. Implemented back on July 1st, 2017, the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, was introduced with an incredibly ambitious goal: one nation and one tax. The whole idea was to create a truly unified market to ensure the smooth, uninterrupted flow of goods across the entire country, wiping away outdated barriers to make life easier for producers and consumers alike. To pull this off, the government had to sweep away a highly complex, fragmented system. To give you an idea of the sheer scale here, GST subsumed 17 different taxes and exactly 23 different state and central cesses. Imagine being a trader trying to navigate 23 different localized levies before 2017. Eliminating that need for endless multiple returns was an absolute game changer. So instead of wildly unpredictable local rates that change the second you cross a state border, all goods and services are now categorized into just 4 uniform tax slabs: 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. This uniformity is managed by the GST Council, and it brings a vital sense of predictability and order to internal trade.
Now, how does GST actually save you money? It uses an input credit mechanism at each stage of the value chain. This prevents the dreaded cascading effect, which is honestly just a fancy way of saying you avoid paying a tax on a tax that was already levied earlier. Because the last dealer passes the added GST to the consumer at the very end of the line, it is a destination-based consumption tax. It's designed to strip away those hidden costs and ultimately reduce the final price tag on the shelf.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the role of chambers of commerce. Who advocates for these massive systemic changes? Well, groups like the Chambers of Commerce and Industry are the voice of business. They step in to work directly with governments. For instance, they advocate to ensure that local taxes, like octroi, don't become a bottleneck that stalls transportation. They push for harmonized tax structures so trade flows easily between states, and they even work to streamline policies so agricultural products can reach local markets efficiently. They're basically the guardians of a smooth internal trade ecosystem, making sure the regulatory gears keep turning so your local supermarket stays stocked. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought. Imagine waking up tomorrow and every single retail shop online and offline has just vanished. What difficulties would you face just trying to get the basics? We've seen the incredible journey of goods today, from the manufacturers to the risk-taking wholesalers to the localized retailers, all governed by unified tax codes and supported by trade organizations. So, the next time you grab a simple item off a shelf, remember the massive, invisible machinery that put it there. Thanks for learning with us today.